What up, Brad here again. Welcome back to another episode of Lifestyle Development. Today, what we're going to talk about is hobbies and the overall ecosystem. I remember back when Tim had the Flawless Natural product, and that's where the ecosystem idea came up. And what he was trying to get at was how to make your lifestyle and your social circle, everything kind of synergistically work together, where women just kind of are a byproduct and they just kind of enter your life. And the lifestyle development focus of every month has kind of been somewhat related to that. But specifically today, what I want to get to is things that you can do outside of the club to make you more attractive, we'll say. But ultimately, it's actually not the attraction that we're trying to focus on here. It's more just making you a well-rounded guy in any sort of environment. So the thing that I've noticed for me is that when I started going out all the time, and I did it for 5 years straight, basically, actually probably even longer than that. I remember before I even became an instructor, the first thing to go was my health and my fitness. And because I was working 8 to 4 every day, I'd wake up at 7 a.m., go to work all day, listen to like audiobooks and listen to transformations and other RSD products on my headphones, then get home, instantly crash out because I was so exhausted, wake up around 8 or 9 p.m., get ready to rock it, head out again, stay out to 2 or 3 in the morning, and again do the same thing. So I was getting like 3 hours of sleep at night and 3 in the afternoon, I guess, to kind of accumulate up to 6 hours. But there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to go to the gym. And my food that I was eating, I was just trying to eat when I was able to, and I didn't really care too much. I wasn't reading those sort of books where I was caring about fitness or health or anything like that. And it ultimately, a couple of years later, caught up to me. And it's funny when I look back, I wish I could find an old video. I might try to find an old video of me like dancing around in Paris where I'm skinny fat. And I would never actually get fat. My metabolism, I'm not built that way. I'm kind of a hard gainer. But I had what's even worse is when you're skinny, but you go to touch someone, it's like, whoa, it's kind of fat. And I remember when this happened, it was actually, I was lifting pretty regularly before I got into pickup, but I was out with Alex. And I think I talked about this in the fitness video, is like we ended up pulling way more, him being fat and looking like shit. And it just proved to me is like, oh, none of this shit matters. Attraction, all it comes down to is just having fun and being the loud dude, and everything else and then take action and kind of lead things forward. So I let that totally fall by the wayside. And now, if you can tell, hopefully, I don't know if you can tell on camera, I'm looking at myself on camera here. I think I look a lot better. I'm probably in the best shape of my life. But I'm in no way doing this for the women. And any of these sort of hobbies and the ecosystem stuff that we're talking about, it can never be directly about, I'm doing this to get the girl. I'm doing my business to get the girl. I think that could be a good motivator to keep me moving forward, but obviously they're not attracted to that. It's the confidence and the byproduct of that. So what a good takeaway from or a good incentive to work on new things is that every time you master some sort of new skill, it ultimately should build your confidence to be able to do that again. And you have the confidence to think, wow, I mastered this. For me, as I've said many a time, I mastered piano was probably the first thing that I actually truly conquered it and got to what I feel is a very advanced level, it took 15 years, 20 some years of playing and playing out, playing live, playing daily, practicing all the time to get to that level. And that confidence made me have the confidence to move into the pickup thing and knowing what it took to do like a long-term process of skill development there. And so what I want you to start thinking about is what are some areas and skills you could take on outside of the club and going out and gaming girls that could build your confidence up and make you more well-rounded. And again, when you're talking to the girl, it's not that she cares about the stories. The stories don't really matter, but when you actually have cool shit that you've done, it makes things so much easier. So your verbal game is infinitely better if you can tell her about some cool story where you climb Mount Kilimanjaro with your friends. I'll have girls over, I got the map back here, and they'll point something out, like, oh yeah, this one time I was in Amsterdam, and they're like, you've been to Amsterdam? I'm like, actually, I've been to Amsterdam like 15 times. And they're like, what? This is crazy. But it's like by having that awesome life, the stories become very easy. And I know when I was going out every single night for so many years, a lot of times the conversations I would have were me talking about the club. And I'd say, oh, this club here in Oslo, it kind of reminds me of this club in Berlin. They're very similar. It's amazing how the music, but the cultures are kind of different. And in my head, I'm thinking, well, is all you can talk about is different nightclubs and the music? Well, when you're a club whore and a club rat and you're going out every night, that is the case. So as I've mentioned also many a time, and the name of this whole program, the immersions program, is you do need those areas and periods of development where you just fully immerse yourself into it. but you also need to be well-rounded. So after you've immersed yourself and you're starting to get some good results, if you had a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being horrible results with women, success with women, 10 being like freaking Hugh Hefner or Justin Timberlake status. Once you get to like the 7 or 8 range, which I'm hoping this far along, you've been going out a lot, immersing yourself, and you're getting into that 6, 7, 8 sort of range. What I've noticed, what happened to me was that became my comfort zone. I feel more comfortable in a nightclub than probably in any other environment because I had done it so many times, and that became my comfort zone. Whereas most guys, I'm thinking when guys just start going out, I remember my first time in a club in Las Vegas and thinking, holy shit, this is insane. But now that is probably the easiest thing for me to do. The hard thing is actually going to bed at 10 p.m. and then planning some adventure the next day that I've never done before. And to get into this, I'll actually tell you a story which kind of relates to this. What happened in Las Vegas, I was there a couple weeks ago. And my friend Andre, you've seen him on the videos, he's like, when I was here a couple months ago, we did this, the spa treatment. It's amazing spa treatment. You go in and you're in the sauna, you got these hot tubs, and then you get this amazing massage. And I was kind of apprehensive about it. And when I really dove in and figured out the reason I was apprehensive is because I had a couple massages in my life and never there before. And it was me being apprehensive to the social friction of going into the massage parlor, or the masseuse comes in and I do something wrong. Like maybe I take I ended up going, she's like, take your swimsuit off. And I'm like, cool, maybe I did that and I wasn't supposed to. And then she's like, whoa, why are you naked in here? I don't know. I haven't done it enough and I'm not experienced, and maybe it's different there in Las Vegas than it is somewhere else. And that little bit of social anxiety was almost made me not do it, where all it came down to was me getting an awesome massage and enjoying the sauna. And that was, if I look at it, another example from Miami, we had the Miami crew video a long time ago. You can see from that month, that video, is we decided to go deep sea fishing. And again, that was the same sort of thing. Normally, what I had done every other trip in Miami, we just went out every night. I'd wake up at 4 p.m., get into my routine, go out again, try to pull routine night after night after night. But again, Andre, because he's the crazy dude, is saying, hey, let's go fishing, let's do this, it's gonna be crazy. So we wake up at 6 a.m., basically go to sleep for an hour after the club, leave the club at like 5, sleep for an hour, go out, and then we're doing this fishing trip. Again, of course, we didn't know the guide. I've fished before, deep sea fish, but it was this crazy new environment. And once we're there, I was thinking, this is fucking awesome, this is rad. And we caught a shit ton of fish. I should put a video out here. Woo, there's a cool picture of one of the fish I caught. This is like a multimedia video we got going on here. And what that did is actually we did that early in the week. One, we had amazing food and we're eating super healthy the rest of the week. But more importantly, related to pickup and success with women, is what did I talk about all week with women? Instead of talking about how Live is the same as it was last night when I was at Live, which is a nightclub there, I was talking about the adventure I had with all my buddies and how we're smoking cigars on this boat and the crazy captain who's this old guy, and how we're catching this fish and it's pandemonium. Everything's going crazy, and actually having awesome stories. It's easier, of course, as I mentioned millions of times. You don't need awesome stories. It's all about owning it. But when you actually have cool shit, it's so much easier, and have that cool life. Again, it's not to impress the girl. It's just to make you more passionate about your own life. And I think this also relates to when guys talk about getting in the right headspace when they go out. Because they're thinking, oh, you know what? When it's my birthday party, I'm always feeling good, and I feel good here, and I can go out, and everything's great. When you do something awesome during the day, it's not going to be hard to get in that right headspace when you go out at night. It's the sloth who comes out of his cave at night and he doesn't do anything cool, and all he does is watch YouTube videos and lolcats all day, and then he goes out and he's thinking, I gotta be social and push my comfort zone. It's like, well, if you've been pushing your comfort zone all day and leaning into your edge, and then you go out, that becomes the easy thing, and it just becomes this momentum, and you're getting this macro momentum where everything in your life is feeding into everything else. And then the women are really just a byproduct, to steal a line basically from Andre, although he probably got it from me at some point. The women are just a byproduct of an awesome lifestyle. It's something I've heard him say a million times. So with that, start thinking about, what are these areas maybe that you push through? I talked about it in the gym before. For me, it's really that social friction of whenever I'm doing some new experience, you're gonna fuck up because it's a new thing. You're on the low end of the learning curve, and that's when things are most embarrassing. One that I've conquered recently, I have my final, I'm graduating from the Second City, like the main program they have for improv classes. And I remember the first 6 months, and still even if I'm not doing it regularly, When I'm about to get on stage and we have a big show coming up next week, I get nervous even thinking about it. And when I'm out there and it's about to happen, I can feel my heart start going super fast. I got to take some heavy breaths and really breathe in, slow down, and concentrate and be like, dude, just get in the moment, relax, do some warm-ups. We do some warm-up exercises to kind of get in the flow, get in the right headspace. And that is directly something that I've learned through the pickup stuff and through about to talk to a girl and being able to deal with the anxiety and confidence there. And there, again, there's that synergy where if I can do it in that headspace and I got all these people about to come up and like see me and laugh at me, hopefully laugh with me through the awesomeness that happens, that sort of anxiety, social anxiety directly relates to in the club. And you always want to be leaning in your edge and pushing in and trying new things. And whenever you feel something kind of pushing you back, that's a really important time to think, here's an opportunity to grow, as opposed to back away and ultimately have that where it's like, oh no, I don't really want to do this. I don't want to lean into my edge. Another thing that I learned specifically from improv classes is it's such an amazing way to meet friends. And I know so many guys, myself included, the only people I initially was friends with were pickup guys. Because I left my hometown, I left that city, or the people that were there that ended up getting married and stuff like that, they're not really hanging out. We just don't have a lot in common. And they're off doing things with their kids and shit like that. So all of a sudden, I don't really have many friends anymore. And these are great situations. I'll talk about this in a future video when we get into social circle stuff. It's a great way to meet other people. Again, I have a party coming up after the improv show that we have, and there are a lot of cool people that I would in no way come across if it wasn't for that. And yeah, a social circle, there's a lot of girls there too. Although I am always one to say that I don't really shit in my backyard, and I try to just go out and meet girls that way as opposed to through my social circle. And I made a very conscious effort through my improv stuff that I would never even try to get with any of these girls, although there's a lot of missed opportunities. I would rather make them my friends, go out with them and meet other girls through me having the social circle. And again, as I said before, just pushing, challenging, and enjoying that sort of stuff. And that's what makes you feel good too. So hopefully you can find things in your life to kind of push yourself, and that gives you a couple little ideas there. Your end goal, again, is how to think of synergism here, basically. So again, the ecosystem side of things. How can you make it so women is not this super proactive, super conscious, super like high energy thing that you're dealing with, and they just become a part of your life? Part of that for me, I could explain it through, I made my job, my career was basically to pick up women, and that's awesome. And guys I could say go out and be a promoter or do things where you'd have to maybe do cold calling, so you're working on your social skills and you're still pushing through that anxiety and dealing with rejection and stuff like that. What my end goal with all this is I want to think of a way where I just kind of fine-tune the mental process, or fine-tune, again, efficiency there, and think about, okay, I don't want to think about girls, gym, finances and business all at the same time. What can I do right now that all hones in on all those, and how can I be doing all three at the same time? And I've talked about before how you grade things on the scale of 1 to 10. Where is each one at? And then I think, okay, what's the synergy here? And I think the two big ones would be self-esteem and willpower. So self-esteem, when I'm doing anything, let's say I'm working on my computer and I'm thinking, okay, how is this gonna help me with women? Well, I'm pushing through a little willpower right now because I wanna check Facebook, but I'm not gonna check Facebook. And then also I have over here, and I'm at dinner, and I have a piece of bread, and I'm thinking, okay, how can this give me more women? Oh, I want that piece of bread, but nope, willpower, I'm not gonna eat the piece of bread. And what that does is then when I'm out at the club, and I'm thinking, okay, I see that hot girl. Oh, do I really wanna talk to her? Well, every area else in your life, you're saying no to the bread, you're saying push to the procrastination, no to Facebook, and no to being a little pussy bitch, go up and talk to that girl. So it's all synergistic. And then, I'm doing the improv stuff, and I'm thinking, damn, I don't really want to volunteer to be one of the first people to go up there and get up and have everyone laugh at me, or I don't want to fuck it up in front of people. Nope, I'm going to push it there, and I'm going to push through the strain and the anxiety. And again, then you see the girl, and you're like, oh, I'm going to push through it here. And then you're in the gym, and you're like, oh, I don't want to do one more rep. I don't want to do one more rep. And you push through. So that's like the willpower and kind of follow through side of things. And then for the self-esteem, I'm always thinking, okay, what's going to help me build more self-esteem? What's going to help me build more? And every time what Nathaniel Brandon would say is every time you broaden your knowledge of reality and the actions and decisions you make, how that makes reality more, like you have a better accurate view of things, which he would call self-efficacy. And how you do that, just take on more things, take on more skills, and then you feel more at home everywhere in the world. That's why also, again, just travel. I've talked about travel a bunch here. The more traveling, you learn about those cultures too through that. and you're learning more about yourself and just feeling at home in the world. And then when that girl comes up and just talks some bullshit, it doesn't even matter. So again, synergism, and think about how you can tie all these things together nicely. I think two other aspects of why being more well-rounded actually can help your game and just make you more well-rounded from a personal development standpoint is one, when you have other goals and other things you're trying to achieve other than women, you're just not solely focused in there and thinking, okay, I'm talking to this girl, my whole life is women, and this girl right here, I need to make this happen. This is a really big deal because I'm investing so much time into this. And then it really becomes super outcome dependent, and she can really feel that this is a big deal to you. When you're focusing on a lot of things, and again, during the immersion stage, it is good to like focus your RS, and you're always focusing in girls, 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 girls. That's all you're paying attention to. That's great. That's fantastic. But when you kind of, get a lot of approaches under your belt, and you're just trying to make it part of a lifestyle, of just having women in your life as part of a lifestyle, then when you have all these other things going on, and you're thinking about your business, or you're thinking about being in the gym, and you're thinking about pushing yourself, and you're kind of sore when you're talking to the girl, and you're thinking, damn, I need to make sure to get some protein in me pretty soon here because I, feed the muscles. Then this girl is just kind of, she's just there along for the ride, and you're not really caring as much about it. Whereas I've thought about myself, there's been eras and periods of development for me where I'm just thinking, every book I read, I'm thinking, how will this give me more girls? Or every time I eat a meal, I'm like, this is a six-pack. It's going to help with LMR. So when I get the girl home tonight, I'm going to be better off and I'm going to have more energy at the end of the night. And everything was freaking super serious there. And then when I go up to the girl, it was just like that energy was like, this is serious. I really want this really bad. And as I said, you do definitely need periods of that. But there are definitely where you have to swing the pendulums back into the balance as well. I think the other thing that's really cool is when you do things outside of, just socializing. Socializing is a great way to learn about other cultures. You learn how other people respond to you. You learn like really weird little shit. That's why also I like pulling girls back to their place, because you see all like the weird shit in their room and you're like, whoa, girls, they like unicorns. And how I remember, in Amsterdam, I had a girl, she was like, I was riding on the back of her bike as we rode back to her place, and she lived on like super high staircase in Amsterdam, stuff like that. And it's cool, you learn about different cultures and stuff like that. But of course, another great way of learning about cultures is doing cultural things. So you're here in Chicago, go do an architecture tour, or go to a blues bar or something like that. And these again are those little stories, those little FYI facts that make it just fills in your verbal game, where you have all these cool little FYI things. And then no matter where you meet a girl, like you meet some Norwegian girl, and you'd be like, oh, things in Oslo, da da da. And of course, I could talk about things in Oslo. But I could also look at knowing if I had talked to a Norwegian girl before, like you can tell the language stuff. And where did that come from for me? It was like, I went out and studied their culture when I was there and found out like, how Norwegian's different than Swedish, and how there's these weird little financial kind of socioeconomical things going on there and stuff like that. And that did not come from me being in the club. It came from me going out doing tours and stuff like that in the cities, where again, I think back to Krakow. I was in Krakow, Poland, and I'm worried about going to see Auschwitz. I wanted to see the concentration camp, and I'm like, well, what sort of shoes do I wear? Do I wear black, or what sort of clothes? And there's weird little social faux pas that make you not end up taking the risk and just going for it. And that's what's going to make you just understand cultures more, and it makes you. My goal is ultimately to be the Renaissance man, or the Dos Equis man, as you've heard me say before. And these sort of things are definitely going to lead you in that direction. Finally, I'll end things out with the book. And I was thinking about what a good book would be in, in the library, the pickup library. And this week is something that has been kind of out of me talking about for a while, but it's definitely a classic that everyone needs to read, and that is Mastery by George Leonard. And I love this book because it really shows you how to build a skill set, no matter what the skill set is. And it kind of helps you push through some sticking points that you might have along the way with pickup or learning any other skill, since this is the skills and ecosystem and hobbies sort of talk we have here, the video we got going on. And so why I like Mastery, I'll give you 2 or 3 points. One is he breaks down how your learning style, and you have a couple different learning styles. You have like the obsessive guy who obsesses over it, but he kind of throws off everything else. I think that one I always forget. You have the hacker. The hacker is definitely what I usually have, where I learn one little aspect of a skill really well, but I don't end up learning the whole thing. So in piano, I remember I learned like the Dorian scale and the blues scale, and I could play that really well. But if all of a sudden I had to do some weird classical thing in some different sort of mode, I was not very good at that, but I just focused in on what I did, but I did that as well as anyone. And I think guys do that in game too. Maybe they get really good at, just only on dance floor, and they can do dance floor really well, but all of a sudden you put them in a lounge and they suck. That's the hacker. And then you also have the dabbler, which I think a lot of guys that get into pickup are dabblers, where they never follow through on anything. They try it out because it's fun and like, ooh, it's sparkly. But once that initial luster wears off and they realize what a long haul it's going to be to get good at something, they always let go and say, no, this isn't for me. I'm going to try guitar instead, or I'm going to try this instead. And that's, again, why I call this the immersion program, because you need to push through that dabbler phase. And this is a good way. The book kind of helps you realize, like, whoa, I'm a dabbler. And he talks about ways to push through it. The other thing I really like about the book is he talks about the stair step of learning a skill. And I think if you haven't really consciously learned a new skill and pushed through, you don't understand how the trajectory naturally is and how it evolves over time. Whereas most people, they think it's a linear scale. Where you're like, okay, I'm going up, I'm getting better, and then you just get better. And it's just this constant road, constant road. For me, the gym is a great example. I was with my buddy Derek, and he's talking about his gains in the gym. It's like, yeah, you know what, I extrapolated out, and basically at this rate, by this time, 6 months from now, I will weigh this much, I'll be this strong, and everything will be perfect. It's great, and my body fat will decrease by this much. And I said, well, that's great, but I know you've mastered other areas of your life, and don't you know that there should be plateaus along the way? And I've had plateaus, and the gym was one. I didn't do legs for like a year while I was lifting the upper body, and all of a sudden I plateaued on my bench, and I thought, what's going on here? And I realized, I got to fill out everything else and be more symmetrical to push on through. Or then you get another plateau, and you think, whoa, what's going on here? Oh, I need to change my diet up, and those sort of things. In pickup, the plateaus you have is maybe all of a sudden you're getting makeouts, you keep making out with the girl, but you aren't pulling them home, and then you're like, what's going on here? And you realize, oh shit, I got to lead more, or something else. Getting the number, and you forget to let's not just stay at the number, let's push on through, because maybe I'm closing these girls too early and not sticking in there long enough. And what you notice is that, again, it's a stair step. And George Leonard does a great job of explaining how actually on the plateau, so on the most frustrating part, and I talk about this in Evolutions, on the plateau is actually where you're learning the most. Because that's where you're doing trial and error, didn't work. All of a sudden you figure out, poof, what works, and then you stair step up and you're on the next level. Again, I would definitely suggest just checking out the book because it's fantastic, and it's a super quick read. It's like 120 pages or 150 pages. Read it quick, and you like his stuff. He's got a lot of a lot of other great books as well. That's what we got today for Lifestyle Development. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I will see you next week. Have a great day.